Income taxes. Subchapter A, determination of tax liability or qualified foreign corporations. The end. Bobby.
I put my treehouse on the market last week. When it sells, do I have to recapture Section 1250 depreciation?
All right, welcome back to our final segment with Grace Lee of Grace Lee International. Grace, thanks so much for coming out all this way from California to join us on our show.
You're welcome.
It's been a real pleasure, and I have learned so much from you, teaching me personally how to improve my social etiquette. I'm going to feel much more confident and maybe have a leg up on my competition. And your whole team has really been enlightening me, so you got a great team and so forth.
Thank you. They are great.
I want to talk to you about the future a little bit, and a question that I have for you, and this is a question that I ask. I'm going to start asking all my guests. You're the first one. In thinking about your industry and thinking about what it is that you do, if you had the opportunity to invent something that would revolutionize your industry or change the way we learned about your industry and what you do specifically, what would that be? Like, would that be an invention or a philosophy or a website or a game or something like that? What would that look like for you if you could predict and invent?
Let's see. I would say I would like to see everyone get videotape of themselves. So they could see how they act, how people perceive them. You know, I think it's very important. Once you see how you act, you'll see why you're being treated the way you're being treated. Mm-hmm. So that's when you'll start to say, oh, okay, that's what I'm doing. That's a mistake. And I think that's important. So I don't know if we could have a big camera somewhere we can videotape, and then you can go, you can see yourself.
Watch it. No, I didn't behave that way. Well, you mentioned sort of offline, and this maybe kind of lead me to this next question about the secret. Like if I'm misbehaving or if I'm doing poor social etiquette, I don't think someone's going to really point that out to me.
That is definitely, because it's very embarrassing. Because we could be eating with someone and then find out that they're eating with their mouth open, and all of a sudden you go, okay, I'm not going to invite them to a dinner party with a potential client or so forth, but they're not going to tell you, because that's embarrassing to be told. So that's something you have to remember. Why you don't get a phone call back? Why aren't you getting that deal? They're not going to tell you that they were offended by your social graces. So.
Well, they're not going to tell you because they don't want to embarrass you.
Yes, exactly.
And so forth. So it's kind of a vicious cycle, and that's why the things that you do is so important, to put ourselves out there on a limb and say, hey, I'm gonna do this course. I'm gonna take your workshop. Somebody said here, one of your team members that I thought was fascinating, is that we are kind of like an advertisement. Yes. And with social graces combined with confidence, there's no telling what we're capable of. Can you elaborate a little bit more about that philosophy?
Well, a lot of companies put a lot of money out to introduce how they want their company to be imagined. Well, for you, it is your first impression, right?
That's right.
So you're an advertisement, and if you don't act right or don't have the clothing right or whatever, that's your advertising. They say, okay, that's what she must or he must want to be perceived as, and they will treat you as that. So you have to be careful. So now you have to figure out how do you want to advertise yourself.
Yeah, that's so important, especially for the small business owner like myself. I'm sure like a lot of people who are out there representing our companies and so forth. You mentioned integrity and getting respect. Can you talk a little bit more before we head out what those principles mean to you?
See, everybody can learn how to act. I can teach anybody, like my fair lady. You can learn how to act. But the next step is being able to respect yourself, love yourself, and respect other people. and the integrity comes into play. If you don't have both, well, it's not that you don't have. I mean, like I said, you can look the part, but if you don't have the other part, now social graces doesn't mean anything, because then everybody says, oh, you look good. All these rich people, they know how to act and they know how to dress, but they don't have inside. So it's very important that the next step is going to the next step, not only learning how to, but it is I call it the art of social graces, because it takes many years to develop your personality, your style, and not only your outside style, but your inside style, because that's about doing business, not only locally or domestically in America, but also internationally, because that's the part that's going to make a difference.
Yeah.
You might look the part, but can we really trust you? Can we be family to do business together?
Yeah. I know for me, I'm sitting here, I think you could probably battle this a lot with pride, and people feel like I don't need to take a social grace workshop or a seminar. I'm sure you battle that. And the other point I wanted to make was one of your team members talked about, I think James Bond as a character who has the social graces in any situation and the confidence and comes across that way impressive in international experiences. You have I know you travel the world. You mentioned that you go to, is it China?
I'm going to go to China, yes.
4 times a year.
Well, this is next year. They're going to the Chinese. I am going to be teaching the university students and small to medium-sized businesses that want to go overseas. And they feel that social graces is very important. They want to learn Western social graces. So they're taking a whole bunch of other classes, but part of it is my Western social graces, but universal code of conduct is what I'm calling it, so that they can go and do business overseas, and they also get a certificate. If they get the certificate, they can get capital from their company, I mean from China, which is very interesting.
Very, very great. And,
Yeah.
and I don't know if we're going to have time to go over all the things that you offer. I know you have an extensive website, and you're producing, I know, some new videos that will help educate people. And I love the idea with what you do in your seminars, where you videotape somebody before, like a before and after.
Yes, very important.
And that's a powerful experience, I'm sure. So if you're watching this show, participate in this workshop. You might see yourself, and it might be awkward at first, but what a powerful device I think that is to hammer home the point. And maybe you and I can talk about doing some other projects together. I'd love to.
We'll work together.
I like that idea. Well, Grace, is there anything you feel like I've left out before we send you back to LA?
No, I think we pretty much covered it, and we will go more into it in your blog.
Yeah, we'll have a blog. If there's anything that you feel like we've missed, feel free to participate with questions to Grace, and check that every now and then and respond to anybody who leaves a question.
I also have a webinar coming up.
Okay.
That is so that they could get involved in that, and it can be from all over the world, basically. So.
Okay, so webinars coming up soon. I'm sure you'll keep having those. So thank you so much for coming on our set, and I hope you've had a great time. It's been a pleasure to meet you, and I feel like I've learned so much just from talking to you. And watch out, world! I am going to be the next James Bond. I want to thank Grace for coming all the way out here to Atlanta, Georgia from California to be on our show today. It was a real pleasure meeting Grace and spending time with her today. And I think some of the things that I'm taking away from my time with Grace are the little things that we can do to change our social etiquette, our behavior, to make an impact in those networking environments and those social situations. Those little things that we can do that goes so far, that says things on a subconscious level to our future clients, our future customers. And if we can really get to understand what those elements are, then we can be viewed as someone who is trustworthy and someone who people want to do business with. So I want to thank Grace for coming all the way out here to Atlanta, Georgia from California, and we'll see you next time here on Thrive America.